What if the closest friends of America, nations it had been loyal to for decades, began gradually switching allegiance? Not to Russia, Canada, not China. Military projects and trade agreements. Energy moves in billions of dollars. All of this is going unnoticed. Why are these U.S. allies moving north? And why no one is discussing it? Number 5. Germany. How can a nation that used to stand side by side with the United States on NATO missions abruptly begin constructing hospitals in Canada instead? It may sound ridiculous, yet that's just what's taking place. In 2025, the healthcare system in Alberta received more than $200 million from Siemens Healthineers in Germany. Yes, Alberta has 2 ultramodern cancers, not Arizona, innovative tools, and a new medical research fund, all of which were partially financed by a U.S. ally who is now speculating that perhaps Canada is the better option. This is a strategy, not charity, and Germany sees something developing up north. Innovation in a stable economy free from volatility and with policies that don't change with each election. Furthermore, if you're in Germany and have to choose between Canadian calm and DC turmoil, let's be honest, where would you put your billions? Germany is acting while the U.S. ignores it. Softly, consciously, and Canada's trade agreement and courteous smile that open the door. Number 4. United Kingdom. What if a longtime ally of the United States believes in shared wars, intelligence with 5 eyes and royal handshakes, abruptly began advancing its science empire worth billions of dollars? It sounds like betrayal to Canada, and it's already taking place. One of the best CO-19 vaccines in the world is produced by the pharmaceutical behemoth AstraZeneca. Recently invested more than £460 million in a new research facility in Toronto. That amounts to more than 700 million Canadian dollars. And the best part is that it's generating 700 highly qualified employment. Why would the UK pick maple leaves over the stars and stripes when Canada is not the US? Perhaps they have had enough of the political soap opera. Perhaps Canada's scientific policies are more stable. Or perhaps they simply recognize the true direction of the future. Prior to delving into who else is covertly leaving Uncle Sam, I promise you won't want to miss what comes next. So please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share this video. It only gets wilder from here. Number 3. Japan. What occurs when Canada and one of America's closest friends begin exchanging weapons? No caution, just quiet handshakes and billion-dollar agreements, without any headlines. You would think that if Japan, yes, the same Japan that Washington has supported since World War II, began moving its trust to the north. But you know what's already taking place? Japan and Canada inked a historic energy deal in early 2025. Totally avoiding the United States, this was not a dull understanding memorandum. This was a comprehensive strategic handshake between the Institute of Energy Economics Japan, the First Nations LNG Alliance, and Canada's Institute for Clean Energy. The objective of securing long-term access to Canadian liquefied natural gas, which is cleaner, less expensive, and closer than Middle Eastern oil. Why depend on erratic international routes when Canada is nearby with a steady supply and peaceful politics? Japan posed the query and took action. But the startling thing is that this goes beyond energy. It's diplomacy. Japan is building direct political and economic ties with Canada. It is creating ties with indigenous people. It is making port infrastructure investments. And all of this without U.S. intervention. Consider that the nation that once pleaded for U.S. protection during the Cold War is now conducting business independently and selecting Canada as its new trusted partner. Still, they believe this is only a gas issue. Rethink this. Japan is secretly pursuing Canada's AI expertise, rare earth resources, and even access to the Arctic for its shipping routes, as if Japan decided to head north instead after opening Google Maps. Japan is subtly moving chess pieces into Canada's corner, while the U.S. is preoccupied with arguments over TikTok and trade conflicts. This isn't a coincidence, it's a movement. And Japan isn't the only country keeping an eye on things, because what happens next could leave you speechless. Number 2. Finland. What does a small, frigid nation with top-notch saunas and virtually no military scandals have? More than you might imagine, and no, this isn't about reindeer diplomacy. Rather, it's about warships, billion-dollar secrets, and a covert alliance that has Washington, if it's even paying attention, scratching its head in mid-2024. The ICE Pact, which stands for Icebreaker Collaboration, was signed by Finland. Effort sounds so slack. Here's what they're not telling you. These ships aren't just for breaking ice. They're for breaking monopolies, specifically the one the U.S. believed it had in Arctic navigation, while American shipyards are mired in red tape and budget disputes. This isn't just about sipping cocoa in the snow. It's a strategic defense and infrastructure deal to co-develop Arctic warships and dominate the frozen north. Finland's pushing its military-grade cold-weather technology into Canadian shipyards. Icebreakers that can reach deeper waters where most ships freeze and fail with Canada's geographic proximity and Finland's world-renowned Arctic engineering. A polar alliance is formed. And who is not invited? To put it simply, Finland is assisting Canada in developing a force that could patrol the Arctic year-round, open up quicker commercial lanes, and access unexplored. Why would Finland pick Canada over the U.S. when the U.S. Coast Guard is having trouble updating ships that were constructed while disco was still popular? Energy reserves under the ice. Perhaps the cleaner contracts are to blame. Perhaps it's a more subdued politics, or perhaps America is mired in short-term headlines while Canada is engaged in long-term chess. Despite its modest size, Finland is playing kingmaker in the global Arctic game, while Canada has simply become the kingdom. Stay still, because you might be even more surprised by the next nation to secede from the U.S. Number 1. Italy. How can you tell when an alliance is beginning to fall apart? Italy, a NATO member, a long-standing U.S. ally, the land of pasta popes and precision engineering, is quietly turning north and looking north in 2025. Behind the scenes, Italy offered Canada a daring deal. Let's build. It's like when your oldest friends stop knocking on your door and start shopping for submarines. The future of conflict collectively. We're discussing next-generation naval platforms, fighter jets, submarines, and guess who's not in? This is a wake-up call. So before we go any further, please hit the like button, subscribe, and share this video with anyone who still believes that the U.S. is every ally's first port of call. Here's how it happened. Italy's Ministry of Defense approached Ottawa with a joint venture proposal that would completely avoid U.S. military contractors. No Lockheed Martin, no Boeing, just Rome and Ottawa. Co-creating battleship systems and stealth technology like two old friends preparing a spicy dish now. Don't miss the next big moment. Subscribe now.